It's time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right, good evening. It is Sunday night, and it is time for episode 209 of the Ron and Brian podcast. Brian, can you believe it? 209 episodes in.
Which is, longtime listeners of the show will understand the importance of the number 209, because on our very first episode, I told Ron that I loved him 209 times. I know it was kind of funny when you had the digital counter that was automatically just refreshing every time I told you that I loved you. And at the end, it ended at 209. And we sat there and said, 209 is our number. We went out, we got the matching wrist tattoos.
We did.
Of the number 209, which it was beautifully done, designed by, I believe his name was Stefan Millar, the tattoo artist, because it's the number 209, but it turns into an infinity symbol. Just spectacularly done. And it means that we'll be doing this show forever. So, just congratulations to you, Ron, for episode 209.
Oh, and congratulations to you as well, my friend. Let's toast. Shall we say with drink of the week?
Drink of the week.
Sure.
Na zdrowie!
Salud.
Drink of the week. Pleasure.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, what are you drinking on this, the first Sunday of June?
I am drinking a big fat apology to the fine people at Virginia Brewing Company. Loyal listeners of the podcast will remember that about a month or so ago, I had this beer called Williamsburg, and spent the whole time. It's called One Night in Williamsburg, and I went off on the hipsters section of Brooklyn. And it wasn't later on until the episode that I realized that this is referencing Williamsburg, Virginia, which was one of the earliest colonial settlements in the United States, then known as the colonies of Britain. Or was it Great Britain back then, or was it England? I think it was England at the time. I don't believe that it had become Great Britain yet. I could be wrong. Anywho, but there was a big brouhaha, and you know me, I'm so rarely wrong, that for me to come out and apologize to the fine people of Virginia Brewing Company, in exchange for that apology, they sent me over a 6-pack of this One Night in Williamsburg. Thank you to the people. Listen, they're bigger people than I am, because I would have held a grievance against me.
Well, it's owning up to your mistakes is a manly thing to do.
Ron, coming in at 4.9 ABV. This is a crisp and pleasingly sweet Weiss beer with a soft tart finish. The lush tropical flavors added by the additions of pineapple will provide a touch of welcome hospitality to palates near and far.
Cheers, my friend. Take a second sip of that. Enjoy it.
Ron?
Yes.
What are you drinking this week?
Well, Brian, and some people have disputed this over the past week, but it is, without a doubt, we are right in the beginning of Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
So that means we need to break out crushable beers, Brian. Crushable beers for Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
And I'm going with one of my favorites this week from 21st Amendment Brewery out on the West Coast, Hell or High Watermelon. This is a wheat beer brewed with watermelons. It clocks in. It's not a heavy alcohol content. Let me see if I can find it here.
You don't want a heavy alcohol content during the summer.
It's only about a 4.9. Again, very crushable.
Perfect.
Not only Is it a crushable beer? It is great to make some beer cocktails. So I tried one out this week, Brian. You take a couple ounces of watermelon vodka, a couple ounces of watermelon puree, shake that over ice, and then you top it off with some Hell or High watermelon. So that's what we have going here tonight.
You bougie bitch.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm.
But that's not even a beer at that point. Now you're just drinking beer with vodka and puree.
So it's a drink, is what you're saying. Hence the name of the show title, Drink of the Week.
Touche, Ron.
Yep.
Touche.
Exactly. All right.
But so are you enjoying it?
Oh, I'm going to take another sip right now because it is that damn refreshing.
So you're actually bringing the 4.9 ABV beer, but you're spiking that number up
with a couple shots of vodka.
A couple shots of vodka?
Well, 2 ounces. So I guess maybe a little over a shot, I guess.
Which means one thing, ladies and gentlemen, Ron's getting sloshed tonight for After Dark, episode 209. If you're not on the Patreon, go to patreon.com/Ron and Brian Ron Brian Pie. There you go. Or just go to our website. Go to our website. Ron, tell people, what do they get if they join our Patreon?
Listen, just join at the bronze level or higher. You get some tremendous swag. We have shot glasses. We have baseball caps. We have stickers. We have new stickers coming in a few weeks. But most importantly, at the bronze level or higher, you get access to the live After Dark, which will be starting at 9:30 this evening. It is well worth it. So hop on over to ronandbrianpodcast.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner for becoming a patron. In the meantime, let's get on over to Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I'll tell you what's bothering me this week. People who want their shot glasses, damn it. All joking aside, Janelle, next time I see you, remind me, I will bring you shot glasses. What is bothering me? Do you hear an echo? Because I hear an echo.
I don't necessarily hear an echo, but...
Anybody want to type in? Do you hear an echo? Echo. Now batting. Number 2.
I'm pretty sure we sent Janelle shots.
Shortstop. Derek.
Somebody shot.
Cheetah. Number 2. All right, I'm going to bounce out, Ron. Start with your beef. I'll be right back in.
All right. We have yet to fix Brian's recurring echo problem, but we will get that taken care of sometime before we end the podcast. So my beef this week, it's with the watermelon. Actually, it's with the watermelon that I purchased to make this watermelon drink this week, Brian. I bought a seedless watermelon, Brian. And when you cut open a seedless watermelon, what is one of the last things you expect to find in there, Brian?
I'm going to say seeds.
Seeds, Brian. There were seeds in my seedless watermelon, which came from Giant Food Stores, which, as we mentioned last week, we had tried to bury the hatchet with. They had sent over some of their new collab beer, which, again, I did not like. And I said about it, and I feel this isn't a coincidence, Brian. I feel this is a targeted campaign of abuse by Giant Food Stores, and that's why I have a seedless watermelon that was filled with seeds.
Okay, that was my question. How many seeds are we talking? Like the errant 3 or 4, or are we talking dozens?
Dozens. I would go dozens. You have an errant seed here or there. I get that. Nature isn't always perfect, Brian. But this one was a seeded watermelon, no doubt. Just aggravates me. Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I actually have a couple grievances.
Oh, all right. Well,
okay. In what order do you want them? Most important from a societal perspective, most important to me physically.
I would go most petty to least petty.
Okay, petty. I am out of shape. And this past week, I realized that I am out of shape. So earlier this week, as loyal listeners of the podcast know, I was out on a few dates with one of my favorite bands, Life of Agony. Um, and at one point, I was lifting some equipment that I had already lifted before. Did not think there was going to be a problem. And as soon as I lifted it, I felt something give right across here.
Mm.
And I've been in pain ever since.
Right in the trapezius muscle area, I believe.
So these aren't my obliques?
Those might be your obliques also. The obliques, I believe, are attached to the trapezius.
Now, what would Gorilla Monsoon describe these muscles as?
That's the breadbasket.
All right. So earlier today, after being in pain, this is going on, I believe, day 5. I bought some Salon Pass pain relief patch, which specifically states sore muscles and sprains.
Right. Is it made for the chest, though?
Oh, all different parts of the body.
Okay.
They show in pictures. Though actually, no, now that you mention it, every picture is somebody putting it on their back.
That's what I thought. Usually that's
But
like
it doesn't say back. It does not say specifically for the back.
Okay.
The problem is the fact that the overwhelming smell of menthol that is going up my nose because the patch is right here.
Of course.
First off, absolutely cleaned out the sinuses. Like I'm breathing like I haven't before, but it's burning me. And I'm sweating profusely as a result of it. So if I seem to be somewhat moister, then I would say that this is something that you should not be too concerned by.
Why would you get the menthol flavored Salon Pass? Why wouldn't you?
Well, the other one was the lidocaine.
Box.
The other one was lidocaine.
Okay. I don't know.
And Mets win. Thank you for interrupting the show. We really appreciate it. Now we know that the Mets won, even though they are not a great team. Ron, duck your head down a little bit. Let's see which team is really the one to be celebrating, and that's the New York Yankees. Anywho, getting back to yes, lidocaine. JoJo with the lidocaine reference. So I am just I am sweating and I am breathing clearer.
Question though, is it dealing with your pain? Like, does it feel better from a pain standpoint?
Much better.
All right.
Much better.
Sometimes you have to go through, so it's like a vapo rub type sensation.
Yes, except that your creepy grandmother is not rubbing it into your skin.
Okay. So Janelle is a personal trainer now as well?
And she's broken.
All right.
By the way, we spoke about this recently I thought last week on the pajama party, but Ron and I are putting together, loyal listener, for those that aren't familiar, Janelle right here, loyal listener, friend of the show, if you would, personal friend of mine. Her Facebook feed, if you can find her, and we're not going to dox her and give out her social media, but if you find her her social media on Facebook, it's chef's kiss. Congratulations go out to her. She was recently voted onto the board of her co-op. So her Facebook feed is going to be gold. Ron and I are currently putting together some of the best of Janelle's Facebook. We think we're going to make it an after dark. Not sure, depending on the content, whether it should stay behind the paywall or we make it a special episode. But really, what my ultimate beef of the week are the individuals that have taken last week's school shooting. And we spoke about what happened in Uvalde, Texas last week, pretty much for the whole episode. So one of the issues is the number of posts I've seen on social media this past week, along with um, conversations I've had with people who have put forth their belief that the Uvalde school shooting is some type of conspiracy. Um, and I have heard consistent, all over the place, different examples of that this was a paid for execution, paid for by the government, using weapons supplied by the government. So this way we could speed up the what do you call it, confiscation of assault rifles and handguns and personal weapons from people's homes.
Are they
And
going to take our guns again, Brian?
they're trying to they took our guns. But it's the number of people who can't even have the decency to just accept that that the story here is that children died, and are immediately going with, this was a government thing. The Biden administration, paid for this kid to go out there. How did he afford the gun? How did he afford the arm? Whatever. And it just pains me that in America we are we need to jump to a conspiracy theory so that our own personal narratives are always being validated. And that is my beef of the week.
And that I would say is a legitimate beef of the week.
Yeah. 5 years ago, Alex Jones was considered outrageous when he started calling the Parkland shooting a staged event. And what was the one up in Connecticut? Newtown?
Sandy Hook was the one I think he got in the most trouble for.
What was Newtown?
Newtown was another one.
Okay. But yeah, he got into trouble in Sandy Hook. But it's just it was considered outrageous when he said that he did not believe that there was actually a school shooting and that kids actually died. And now we've sunk so low as a country that that is now just we're immune to the conspiracy talk of another tragedy. And that is really what's bothering me this week.
All right. And that's
now, not to compare that to the fact that you had seeds in your watermelon.
No, of course not. It's a different level of outrage. And I get that. And I respect that. And I respect you. Respect the hell out of you, my friend. So should we get into all of the school shooting and potential school shooting stories that we managed to be inundated with over the week? First off, interesting statistic that came out from Newsweek last week, in that more children have been shot and killed in the U.S. this year than police while on duty. The count at the beginning of last week was 20 police officers killed in active duty, compared to 24 children having been killed as a result of shootings at school. The main difference, of course, one of those groups is their job to be put in harm's way. The other one, not so much.
But the point is, nobody died.
No, 24 kids died.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not really a lot, right?
Well, let's see some of the shootings.
When you compare these school shootings to, say, something like the COVID, pandemic, what is really, the bigger issue?
I don't know. Are we playing the comparison as to whose lives are worth more? What deaths are more tragic? What's more controllable? What's more preventable?
Well, COVID was preventable.
I agreed.
I mean, all we had to do was just open the economy up. I mean, the children don't have the receptors. We needed to, they said 2 weeks to level the curve. We gave them the 2 weeks. And next thing I know, I'm not allowed to go into an Applebee's without wearing some stupid, chin diaper because, Dr. Fauci is just spewing lies and hate.
All right. Continuing on, a ton of stories this week about potential shootings. We had a 10-year-old, a fifth grade student in Florida, who was arrested after threatening a mass shooting in a text message. So the student, who has not been named, was charged with making written threats of a mass shooting. Jumping up to Cape Cod, Barnstable, Massachusetts. There's
Barnstable. Come on.
Barnstable. You sure? All right.
Yeah, it's Barnstable.
Barnstable, Massachusetts. A man is in custody after he made a threat to commit a school shooting via social media. That was 29-year-old Justin Herrera of Hyannis. In that post, he threatened to shoot up a school at an unnamed location. Police went and arrested him, but did not find any firearms. So he's being charged with making terroristic threats, being held without bail. What are the ones we got here? We got a ton of stories. Hold on. Deputies, again, down in Florida, arrested an 18-year-old man after receiving a tip that he threatened a mass shooting at a school in a social media post. Corey Anderson's post showed him with a handgun, a rifle, and a tactical style vest, along with a caption that said, "Hey Siri, directions to the nearest school."
No.
Yep. So he was arrested at his home, also charged with a written or electronic threat to conduct a mass shooting or act of terrorism. Again, being held without bail. What other ones do we have here? We had so many, I have to thumb through them.
Listen, the list was so painfully sad.
It was. And again, these are just, popping up because people are actually paying attention now.
Sure.
Something happens like what happens down in Uvalde. That's when you finally get people paying attention.
Well, not only that, but as we clearly saw this week, the level of copycats, the number of people that were arrested for, claiming that they were planning on shooting up their school, frightening.
Right. I hate when my computer freezes up on me.
Now, is that your new beef of the week?
It very well could be if I'm not able to get back into all of our stories.
Ron, you may not be able to get back into your stories, but you will always have a place in my heart.
Well, I appreciate that. Brian, you've got the list up there. What are some of the other stories that were caught because of threatening schools and whatnot?
Well, you know me, I'm always particular to something that takes place in New York City. So in Forest Hills, which is a section in Queens that is not far from where I live, without divulging any personal information, a New York student was arrested for making a threat after he was threatening. He was caught talking to classmates that he wanted to obtain a firearm and shoot several students at the Metropolitan Expeditionary Learning School in Forest Hills. Now, something tells me, now keep in mind, I'm not trying to blaspheme because I don't play that. That's not the way I work. I don't blaspheme. But something tells me that the students at the Metropolitan Expeditionary Learning School are probably not the most studious.
Why would you say that?
Because first off, there's no more expeditions going on right now. So there's no need for an expeditionary school. Like, it would be one thing if we were looking to traverse Antarctica over land. It would be one thing if we were, sending these, practicing to send these students to go across the Atlantic in boats. But that's not what's going on here. So it seems like I would say these kids are, how do I put it this way? Not good students.
And is that why you think they're threatening violence?
Well, of course. Well, it's a school that's only for 6th to 12th graders. So we call that what I would equivalent that to is a junior high school and a high school all in one.
A combo, if you will.
Yeah. And the one thing I like about it is that people are not politicizing these threats. Oh, hold on a second. Janelle calling it a liberal hoax. God damn it, Janelle. Always with the comments in the most inappropriate times. Have we noticed that William Esquire is not here?
Well, I believe it is Hell in a Cell pay-per-view tonight, WWE. Perhaps that is where his loyalties lie this evening.
If I find out that William Esquire is choosing that slop that Vince McMahon has dumped out over this podcast, I will be furious. And I'm
Well,
texting him right now.
we'll try and
Because
find
that is
out.
unacceptable.
Staying in the New York area, Brookhaven, Long Island, a teen is facing terrorism charges for allegedly threatening to commit a mass school shooting. The 16-year-old boy posted Wednesday on the Bellport Scholars Instagram page that there could be a mass shooting at Bellport High School in Brookhaven. They searched the teen's home on Thursday, did not find any weapons. Again, being charged with making a terroristic threat and aggravated harassment. In Maine schools, they reported 10 violent threats reported over the last 30 days, with 4 of them occurring the week after Uvalde. Texas police arresting 4 teenagers for allegedly plotting to carry out another school shooting. So they arrested Nathaniel Montalongo and Barbarito.
I went to high school with that kid.
Both 17 on felony charges of conspiracy to commit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Cops also arrested 2 minors who have not been named because of their age. The 2 17-year-olds are being held on $750,000 bond each. And I think we've got one more in the Denver Post. We've got a 14-year-old student out in Denver, again, making social media posts threatening to shoot up at school.
It never dawned upon me in school to threaten to shoot it up. Now, I called out sick a bunch of times because I didn't want to go to school, but it never dawned upon me that I was going to threaten to shoot it up.
Now, it's not just the kids. We have a principal who brought loaded guns into a school. Again, this should not shock you when I tell you that it was in Florida. It was actually in Parkland, Florida, in a school just a few miles away from where the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas mass shooting occurred. The weapons belong to Somerset Academy principal Gaylor Castro. I think we've got a photo here. Matt, can you put the photo up on the screen there? All right. Principal Castro brought a closed box containing 2 firearms into the school. They were later found unattended by officials in a locked room.
No.
It is a felony to carry a gun into a school building in Florida, but it was unclear if prosecutors would file charges against Castro.
Can we talk about something else slightly more important than the fact that she brought loaded weapons to a school?
Of course.
What's going on with her necklace?
Can
we talk about that? Because it just seems like like at some point during that day, she knew she was going to be having her photo taken that day.
Well, is this? This wasn't a mugshot, so I'm assuming this is just like a staff photo because she didn't
like
get
a yearbook photo of some type,
photo,
maybe.
I would guess.
Now, it seems like it's dual layered. It's not just one layer of shitty white stones, but it's 2 layers of shitty white stones. And she sat there and said to herself, this is what I'm going to wear for photo day.
Well, there's not a lot to be said for fashion, Brian.
Right off the bat, you've got to question her judgment.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, you're bringing guns into a school and then you are also leaving them unattended.
Yeah, what's scary is the fact of how little desire I have for a handgun and how many people seem to be so comfortable with lax security with them.
Well, and that's the thing. It'd be one thing if people own guns and they were responsible gun owners, but you have enough people that are irresponsible gun owners that give the responsible gun owners a bad name.
Sure. Look at that. Now you can go on QVC and get a handgun. I mean, it's become so easy in this country to get handguns. And once again, Janelle coming in claiming that, it's a liberal hoax. I mean, it's just, it's the far right and their inability to just, deal with, the reality of something without trying to turn it into something that it's not.
But there is a solution on the way, Brian. from taser developer Axon. They sell tasers.
Gun control, right? It's gun control.
No, you never gun control. Axon, who sells tasers and police body cameras, have floated out the idea of developing a new police drone product that would be armed with tasers that they could fly around the schools and hopefully prevent another mass shooting.
Okay.
Your thoughts? Good idea? Bad idea?
I feel like we're like one step away from the Terminator. Like now we're going to send armed robots into schools that somehow we're going to trust the students don't get hurt.
Now, to
'Cause
be
the ones-
fair, a taser armed drone is safer than like arming the teachers. I would say it's
Okay.
a slightly better idea than that.
Hold on a second, and this is where I'm going to disagree with you on this
Okay.
one. Is that 2 years ago we were saying that the children didn't have the receptors, that they could not catch COVID, that we should open up the schools again. And what did we find? Yes, children do have the receptors. Children can get sick, and children can spread COVID. So it's clear that the experts don't have a full understanding of the anatomy of a child. You know who does have a full understanding of the anatomy of a child?
Catholic priests.
But getting back to what I was saying earlier, it's just the idea of what happens to the child's body when it gets hit with a laser from one of these drones. I mean, it's they're sending these drones in with the lasers that are going to take out an armed school shooter. But what happened when it accidentally goes off and takes out 7-year-old Timmy who's standing in line asking for a second milk?
Well, I don't think it's a laser. It's just a probe that can shoot electricity. Now, again, could still be damaging to a child, but
now isn't a laser also just electricity being shot at a much faster frequency?
But they're not saying to put drones with lasers in the schools. These are drones with tasers attached to them.
So you're saying I'm projecting my desire to shoot lasers at children?
I mean, I'm not trying to read into what you're saying, but possibly. I'm not even sure what that's supposed to mean.
Well, I think what she's trying to say is if you put condoms on the little children, that if they get hit with the taser, they'll be okay. I mean, the condom will break, but the children will be alive.
Interesting. So Janelle is thinking about children and condoms.
Yes. And also the break.
Oh, and she has been for like 2 years.
Wow. Now, listen, the pandemic affected all of us in a very different way. Ron, you accomplished a lot of home improvement projects. Your
True.
home is beautiful by, with all the work and effort that you put into it. I grew a beard to see what it would look like. And let my hair grow out. It was just god awful. There's photos on the internet. Yeah. And yet Janelle has spent the past 2 years thinking about children wearing little broken condoms. Very, it's funny how, somebody for 15 years or so, and you still find out new things about them that are, just concerning.
Just disturbing at times. Just disturbing. Brian, I have what some would consider an important question to ask you. What are you watching?
Top Gun Maverick. Ooh, I love that sound effect. Can we hear it again?
Of course we can.
I want to make that noise one day. I went out last night to the movies, only in theaters. When did it come out into theaters? May 27th?
May 27th.
Okay, well, I saw it on June 4th in Queens. Top Gun Maverick, the sequel to the Oscar-nominated original. Tony Scott directed the original Top Gun, and starring Tom Cruise, Meg Ryan, Anthony Edwards, Kelly McGillis.
This time's gotta stop.
All right, back to the movie, Brian.
All right. If you are a fan of the original Top Gun, you will be entertained by this movie. It is not as good as Top Gun. It is not as well done as Top Gun. It is not directed by Tony Scott, so it does not have that. How would I say that? Je ne sais quoi that Tony Scott brings to the big screen. But it does. It tells the story of the next generation of fighter pilots. The story picks up Maverick, and I'm not going to give anything away here. Maverick, who is, has not risen too high in the ranks of the Navy or Air Force.
Either or.
He flies fighter planes. But he is, we find him, he's once again, breaking the rules, thumbing his nose at leadership, and now he gets called in to, go back and, for one last run. But this time he's surrounded by the next generation of fighter pilots, and he's got to make sure that they can pull off the most dangerous job of their lives.
And so does Anthony Edwards come back as like the ghost of Goose?
There was, and this is my only critique about the movie, it did feel like they were, it felt like they were too desperate to link this movie to the original one. So I felt there were too many flashback scenes of Anthony Edwards. Like anybody who saw Top Gun and knows the storyline knows how that Goose dies when he pulls the premature ejector seat and slams and breaks his neck on the dashboard hood window thingy.
The canopy.
Yeah, I mean, so we all know that, that's what it was going on. I mean, he was calling out Mayday. He was calling out for help. I mean, the only thing he could have been calling out was, here you go. Once again, Janelle calling the kids broken condoms. But it was just like I felt like there were too many scenes that tried to remind people of what happened in the original Top Gun. Like they felt that we as the viewers wouldn't instinctively know, or they felt that too much time had elapsed and people were going to go see Top Gun and not really go back and see the first one. Not really sure. But in closing, what I will say is this. It's a 2-hour movie. You're not bored. You're not unhappy with it. And at the end of this, it keeps your attention.
All right. Val Kilmer, does he make an appearance? Because you can't have a Top Gun without the Iceman.
No, I'm not going to do it. I was going to do it, but I'm not going to do it.
All right.
Yes, he makes a cameo. There are a lot of cameos in this. Surprisingly, John Hamm has a decent role in this. Love John Hamm. So happy to see him working again. Miss him from the days of Mad Men.
All right. So that's so it gets the Brian's must watch.
Must watch? No, but it's a fun watch.
All right.
Thumbs up. Ron?
Yeah.
What are you watching?
Watched a few things this week. Watched a new drama series on Netflix called Anatomy of a Scandal, based on a novel of the same name. It basically tells the story of a British politician who was having an affair with an aide of his, who then accuses him of rape. So it's a short watch. It's 5 episodes, but well done. I would recommend it.
Was the rape also short? Or no, I'm just kidding. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Actually, no. And all joking aside, I went for the low hanging fruit on that joke. Can you edit that joke out? Because I would be embarrassed if if Matt, if you're listening now, put a timer down at 39:45. I don't want that joke to be out there. It's inappropriate.
5, right?
What?
You know, this goes out live.
No, we're recording it now. I mean, it's going to go up on YouTube tomorrow, but we can.
The shame will always be there. Anyway, also watched episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and
I still haven't watched it.
Much better. As I think I said, the first episode was slow. Episode 2 slightly better. Episode 3 amps up the story, throws Darth Vader into the mix. I mean, it was. Now I'm hooked. Now I am ready for next week's episode. What else did I watch? I watched.
So this is episode 3 or 4?
Episode 3 comes out every Wednesday on Disney Plus. Watched The G Word on Netflix with Adam Conover. If you remember Adam Conover, he had that show, Adam Ruins Everything, for a number of years.
Now, The G Word, where is that actually located? Because I've spent many years looking for it. And, you know, I've read about it, that it exists, but I've never actually, what?
It means it's government in this instance. Actually, apparently, this is one of the shows that Barack Obama is producing for Netflix. And basically, what Adam Conover does is he shows the involvement of government, both good and bad, in certain areas of our lives, as far as it relates to food safety, space travel, money, things of that nature. Interesting. You know, they're like 20, 25-minute episodes. So definitely worth a watch. And also watched the Norm Macdonald special called.
Where is that on right now?
That is also on Netflix. So it was a big Netflix week for me. So for those of you who don't know the story behind the Norm Macdonald special, this goes back to 2020. Norm had been dealing with cancer for a number of years. He had a procedure that was coming up that apparently, you know, he potentially could not have woken up from once they put him under surgery. So he decided to record this special by himself in his house back in 2020, and then just kind of put it away and said, you know, if I die before I can go back out on the road again, release this as my final special. So it's basically the first 50 minutes of it is him doing his material. And then the last 40 minutes is a panel consisting of David Letterman, Dave Chappelle, Molly Shannon, Conan O'Brien. Who else is on there? Adam Sandler and David Spade. They watch the show as well. They give their feedback on Norm and the special.
Okay.
Interesting. It was, you know, it's tough to do a comedy special with no audience reaction whatsoever. Like when they said he recorded this in his living room, I thought maybe he recorded it for a group of friends or what have you. It is just him doing 50 minutes of material, and material that he had not necessarily done on the road. So I would say there's some parts that are brilliant. There are some parts that, you know, are you know, obviously need to be worked out a bit more. But you know, it was amazing to see him because he looks ill. He looks gaunt in filming this. And for him to just be able to do the 50 minutes, I don't think there's a lot of comedians out there that could do what he did in that format. And then,
you know, Ron, the last time I did 50 minutes, I had a broken condom.
And then listening to, you know, to his friends tell stories about him, whether it was, you know, traveling, doing stand-up, whether it was doing movies, what have you, working with him on SNL. I mean, just really drove home the talent and the heart that Norm had. Really, you know, and you have to get through the 50 minutes. Like it dragged for me in certain parts, but then listening to all of these great comedians talk about certain parts of it and kind of putting all of that work in that 50-minute special in perspective, like really transforms and gives you a unique perspective on the work he did. So I would recommend it. If you have not seen it, make sure you do that before the next episode.
As you were talking about it, I just downloaded it onto my iPad.
All right. Why did it take you so long?
I actually forgot it came out.
I'm disappointed. So that was the only thing you watched. Well, you're at all the Life of Agony shows.
Yes,
So really,
I think I saw 5 Life of Agony shows this past week. So it's
you did not have a chance to watch a lot. I get it.
no, I'm trying to make progress on Ozark. There's 3 episodes behind on Under the Banner of Heaven,
Okay.
which I absolutely loved. And I think I'm 1 episode behind Better Call Saul.
So I finished Ozark. So, and I'm waiting for you to finish Ozark so we can discuss the final episode.
By the time we do our next episode,
Okay.
I will have watched all of Ozark.
Sounds good. Because I will tell you, I understand why people were disappointed in the final episode. I wasn't as disappointed. I wasn't a huge fan of how it ended, but I still thought it was a solid episode.
Is it a Sopranos type ending?
Yes and no.
Okay.
That's all I'll say is yes and no.
Okay. I promise you I will have it knocked out before we do.
And yes, The Boys is back on Amazon Prime.
Now, aren't The Boys the ones with the little broken condoms?
They are not. That is the superhero
It's the
show.
girls. The girls are the ones with broken condoms. Because we all remember the female condom that they tried to put out there, which was not popular. Less popular, yes.
I have not caught up on The Boys, but I am excited that it's out, so I will make sure to catch up on the show. I don't know where my thought process just went just then.
Ron, what game do you like to play when you gamble at church?
At church?
Yes. What do you like to gamble when you're at church?
I mean, I haven't been to church in a very long time. Oh, bingo. Makes sense. Just absolutely makes sense.
Absolutely. The smell of menthol is just permeating this entire area around me. And it's literally affecting my brain. I apologize if I'm not bringing the energy. I apologize if I'm being inappropriate. But I believe this salon pos has melted my brain.
So do we want to...
down in my plums.
Do we want to talk about the Disneyland Paris employee that ruined a marriage proposal this past week?
Yes. Yes, we do. Because there's great video of it, and then it's going to cause me to go off on Disney adults.
All right. Let's see if we can get this video going. So they're trying to get proposed, and boom, the employee runs through, grabs the ring, and tries to take him off the pedestal of the podium.
Yes, that's great, but over here she's going to be even better.
So my understanding of this story is that you have to pay extra to rent out a space on this podium.
Apparently, yes.
That there are slots at Disneyland. This is
Disneyland Paris.
Okay. Disneyland Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh la la. My point being is the fact that apparently you have to pay extra to reserve that podium for like a 10-minute window.
Right.
So that you can get the better photo of the Disney castle behind you. And this guy didn't. This guy and his girl just dragged her up there. Probably not against her will. I would imagine that she had an idea when he showed up wearing that off-white shirt and those white pants. She was like, "Oh, I'm getting engaged today. This mofo is wearing his engagement white pants that he said he was going to wear the day he proposed to me." Here we go, right there. Don't get married. So it was, so this guy, and this is where, there's 2 sides to every story,
of course,
which is that you've got this Disney Paris. Is it Disney World Paris?
Disneyland Paris.
Can I just say a Disney employee?
Do it.
A Parisian Disney employee who really, he could have just let the moment slide.
Right.
And been like, "Hey, boss, what do you want me to do?" That would be terrible PR for us. but he runs up, interrupts the proposal as it's taking place, and basically shames this guy for not spending the extra couple $100 to reserve the platform to propose. So like this guy's now walking down these steps sheepishly. The girl is just confused as to what's going on. 1 second, she's at Disney World, Disneyland Paris, saying, "Ooh la la, je ne sais quoi, croissant, au bon pain, Prime Minister Macron."
I'm just impressed that all of those are actually French phrases that you're using.
This has got to stop.
I mean, they don't make any sense whatsoever, but I'm just impressed that you're using the proper language.
Thank you very much. So like, but like, how do you accept this guy's proposal when you already know that he was too cheap to spend the money to rent the platform to get engaged to you? Like this guy, is going to be the husband of the rest of your life, and is already starting off on a cheap note.
Right. Do we know the name of the Disney employee that grabbed the ring? Does anybody out there? Pinot Noir. Oh, I don't. That's a wine.
Pinot Noir. Oh, that's
very xenophobic. That's just wrong. But the guy looked to be in his glory to like interrupt that proposal.
He seemed to have enjoyed it
way too much. And the guy who was proposing, I mean, the guy was huge. He really could have just snapped that little Disneyland Parisians guy's neck if he wanted to.
Well, here you go. What are the prices at Disneyland Paris? Just to propose costs $99.
That's ridiculous.
Or the American equivalent.
Right. I mean, why do people get engaged at Disney? Is my question. Like, I know people that are Disney adults and all that, but it's just like, I don't know. That doesn't necessarily need to be the entire facet of the personality of your relationship.
See, I find Disney adults to just, I feel like there's something, I feel like a grown adult who is obsessed with Disney culture, Disney World. I mean, they show these people lining up at the release of like new Disney shirts and whatnot. And it just strikes me as stunted emotional development. Now, I'm not saying everyone that's a Disney adult is still a child, but there seems to just be a childlike it feels like they're clinging to their childhood instead of embracing their adulthood.
Very well put.
But a lot of times, I went to Disneyland as a child, and I felt like everybody there was watching the girls. But in this instance, Mary's cousin said, "Watch the boys." You got to watch the boys. You got to watch the boys. No. It was watch the girls. You couldn't pay me to go to Disney World.
No, not anymore. Like when I was a kid, that was cool. And not just Disney, any theme park. I would just have no interest in going.
I do feel like if they brought back Action Park, I would want to go. I wouldn't do any of the rides. I wouldn't do any of the rides at Action Park, but I would just want to see. I think I would just want to watch people with, being loaded up into the ambulances as they walk out.
That's a good time right there. We have some more couple videos here. This was a couple that had a very uncomfortable conversation with someone regarding what they would do if they could guarantee a world championship for the New York Yankees.
Yes.
You're going to win a World Series, but you had to give each other a hall pass. Would you do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, why
Who does she have to? You can pick anyone who you want. Who would you pick?
Anyone in the world? My ex-boyfriend.
Oh my god. Oh, shit. Who would you pick?
You.
Aw. I'm sorry. Why the ex-boyfriend?
We're gonna fight about this.
Why the ex-boyfriend? He's gone. You can tell me.
He was a good lover.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow is correct. Oh my God. And again, it's almost like I remember
That video.
they did a bit on like Saturday Night Live or something where it was about a hall pass, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I want J-Lo to be my hall pass," and the wife was like, "I want Steve, who lives 2 doors down, to be my hall pass." Like, your hall pass shouldn't be someone that is like easily available to you.
Yeah. The fact that she would say her ex-boyfriend right in front of this guy, like, I feel like they need to be sleeping in separate beds for the next couple weeks while they work out what's going on there. She didn't seem inebriated.
No, not at all.
Like, to sit there and call out your ex-boyfriend as to being a great lover. And keep in mind, I mean, she and I broke up many years ago. The fact that she's still clinging on to the memory of me, it's a little creepy.
I mean, kudos to the guy for asking
Incredibly creepy.
For asking the appropriate follow-up question as to why the ex-boyfriend. And you would think she had dug her hole deep enough to begin with at that point, but she's like gonna be like, he's a great lover. Like, just let's kick this poor guy in the nuts a little bit harder.
It sounds like the ex-boyfriend was really digging the hole deeper.
Hey-o.
Hi.
Very nice. Yankees, speaking of Yankees, 5-4 winners in extra innings against Detroit.
Did they or did they not just have a perfect homestand where they swept all competitors?
I believe you would be correct. They are winners of 5 straight now.
Best team in baseball, not the Mets.
No, not
the Mets.
New York Yankees. What else do we have this week, Brian?
We had a couple celebrity deaths.
Okay, who did we lose this week?
First off, this was very suspicious. Barry Sussman in a suspicious death.
Is it sus? No? Is that what you're saying?
It was very sus, Ron. Okay. Thank you for bailing me out on that one. Barry Sussman was a Washington Post editor back during Watergate, which a lot of people, friends of the show, were alive for. Passing away with the age of 87, though not as well known as the more flamboyant Washington Post executive editor, Ben Bradley. Sussman played an indispensable role in the paper's Pulitzer Prize-winning coverage of the scandal that resulted in President Richard Milhouse Nixon's resignation in 1974. He was part of the story from the beginning when the paper learned of the break-in of the Democratic National Headquarters at the Watergate complex in Washington on June 17, 1972. The burglary was a local news story, but Sussman assigned it to Woodward. Bernstein later joined in. Because Jews never go first, we always jump on the bandwagon.
I did not realize that.
You know what? Can we edit out that joke also? I just felt like I thought it would work. It didn't. And now I just realized it was wildly inappropriate, inexcusable of me. You know who else I need to own? I owe an apology to. So rape victims this week, I owe an apology to.
Yep.
I owe an apology to the Jews. That's apology number 2. And apology number 3, I owe to the fine people over at Manscaped. Last week, I was doing our paid advertisement from the fine people over at manscaped.com. And Ron, you cut off the read as I was going through it. And we were not paid. We were not paid for last week's ad. So if you could let me go get through the entire text this time, I would appreciate it greatly.
I'll do my best.
You'll do your best?
To let you go and do the
Ron, when manscaping, you've got to use the right tools for the job. And trust me, your balls will thank you. We've actually been using Manscaped for months already, have owned a couple of their products like the Lawnmower 4.0 and their ball deodorant. I really don't have the heart to do this right now.
Wow. All right.
Another loss. We'll take another loss this week.
I guess we're not going to get paid again this week. All right. Fair enough.
You know what? Manscaped people, I'm very sorry. We love your product, but your read is way too long. Narrow it down. Next week, we'll do it again.
Also passing away this week, Alec John Such, bassist and founding member of Bon Jovi, dead at the age of 70.
Well, his death was suspicious.
John Bon Jovi today announced his death. Apparently, he was the bass player for Bon Jovi from 83 to 94. Is also credited for bringing together Tico Torres and Richie Sambora to see the band perform. So yeah, one of the more influential bands of the 80s and 90s. And player.
He gave life a great name, but he gave death a bad name.
You're really reaching for the Bon Jovi jokes for this one.
Sorry.
Now we'll add that to the list of apologies. You need to apologize to
his family,
to John Bon Jovi, I think.
Oh, John Bon Jovi will never get an apology from me.
No,
he has just put so much junk on the airwaves over the years and become a multi-billionaire as a result of it.
All right. One final story here tonight. A New York City Department of Corrections captain has died after reportedly traveling to the Dominican Republic to receive a Brazilian butt lift from a phony doctor once indicted for operating without a medical license. Tandra Bowser Williams, she was a 49-year-old corrections captain at Rikers Island, suffered a massive stroke just days after jetting off to Santo Domingo to receive a fat transfer surgery from plastic surgeon Dr. Hector Cabral on May 13th. Cabral was previously indicted in March 2011 on 10 counts of operating without a medical license and fraud and conspiracy charges.
Now, I have a question, Ron. Why are people still getting Brazilian butt lifts?
That I'm not sure. And I'm not sure why they are going to like sketchy doctors to get this work done.
Well,
like,
clearly they're doing it because it's going to save some money.
According to Tandra's husband, she was aware of his past legal troubles, but still felt that it would be safe to go to him.
No.
Yep.
Wow. That is
you
fucked up.
You do not want a Brazilian butt lift, Brian? Is that what you're saying?
No, I really do not want a Brazilian butt lift. I need to lose some weight. My pants are getting tight. So the last thing I want to do is to actually make the pants any tighter.
Okay, that's fair.
If I needed to, I would want the pants to be tighter in the front, not the back.
Right.
Though I don't understand people's need to go out there and do these back alley Brazilian butt lifts. I can understand the back alley abortions that are going to be taking place in Oklahoma and Texas,
right,
over the next few months. I do not understand a back alley Brazilian butt lift. Like how bad is your body image that you feel the need to shove gook into your butt to make yourself feel beautiful?
I mean, it has to be pretty bad. One would imagine.
Yeah. I don't just to jeopardize your own, health. Didn't Kanye West's mom die from that?
I mean, I know
some type of cosmetic
surgery from plastic surgery, but I don't recall exactly what the surgery was.
Okay. Maybe because I was just thinking maybe we're going to get a Kanye West album named after this woman.
I mean, it's still possible. Anything's possible. You know what's also
instead
possible?
Of Donda, we have Tandra.
You know what's also possible, Brian?
What?
After Dark. Coming up in just 26 minutes for all of our great Patreon subscribers, of which you could be one if you go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron. Join us at the bronze level or higher. Do that in the next 20 minutes or so, and we'll be glad to get you the link to join us on After Dark. It's going to be a good one tonight. We've got, what stories do we have here tonight? Let me just skim down here. We've got a woman who made $5,000 a day selling her boob sweat in jars. We've got OnlyFans models feeling the pinch of a sluggish economy. we've got a stripper who was accidentally hired for her brother's bachelor party, did not realize it until she got naked. I mean, this is just
Ron, stop giving
Right.
away. Stop giving away every story. I mean, like, that is the type of content that we're going to be talking about. Now, I don't want that kind of talk, like the details of those stories and our takes on them. That's not meant for the public.
No.
YouTube doesn't want it there. Facebook, we would get deplatformed. Twitch, demonetized. So the only way for us to do these spicy, saucy stories is to put it behind the paywall. And that's what we're going to do. If you want to hear us talk about those stories, you got 25 minutes. Go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. Click the link in the upper right-hand corner. Become a patron. For as little as $5 a month, you get a link to an audio of the After Dark episode. It's a minimum of 30 minutes a month. At $10 or more, you get a link to live stream After Dark. Once a month, at the last Sunday of every month, we do something we call the Pajama Party, where all of our patrons come on. Well, those at the silver or higher level are invited onto the show to join us. Sometimes we play Can You Beat Ron? Sometimes it's Can You Beat Off Ron? And usually it is just a fun time for all.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up, Brian, and get ready to do the After Dark. Brian, anything else before we roll on out of here tonight?
No, not at all. I love you. I love spending this hour with you. I appreciate everybody that is watching right now. I appreciate everybody that is watching when they are watching it and or listening when they are listening to it. For those people that prefer the audio version of this podcast, this is a show we do once a week. It makes me it keeps me in centered. I don't swing too far left. I don't swing too far right. I feel my core, my center is here, and we're all good.
All right. Very good. Well, I love you too, my friend. Always appreciate doing these episodes with you. And then we will get ready for After Dark. For everybody else, we will catch you again next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com.